this energy of stag spirit, it feels like you inspire this person to show up and show out in ways that they are not used to doing in love and partnerships. This is somebody who is trying an approach that they've never tried before. They may have had moderate success with what is very comfortable for them in terms of romance. There are things at work, there are things that they are really good at that they know are like their preferred forms of love languages, or, action steps that they've taken in previous relationships that other partners have been like, yeah, you're really good at that, you're really skilled at that. It's like checked off all the right boxes, hit all the right buttons within previous people. But you are somebody who is very different from anybody that they have met in their life and anybody that they have been interested in who has also been interested in them in return. So it feels like this is somebody who is wanting to kind of like take off the mask of a certain version of themselves that so far that the world knows them as, in order to kind of like free themselves in some sort of way, take the lead to do things they never thought that they could do, to really give the most into this phase of your connection and moving forward, because there is a big urge within them to like step outside of the comfort zone. This is somebody who senses that there could not only be like harmony between the two of you, but that this might be a relationship that has arrived at like a crucial time in their life where in general they're trying new things. They're trying to shake things up in their own life for the better, not wait for those tower moments or times where they're sort of like forced into change. But this is somebody who is taking the initiative to expand beyond routine, the status quo, do things a little bit differently. And so you get the privilege of experiencing this version of them, like this mindset that is applying to other areas of their life. They're also applying that into something very unique, especially tailored just for you and this particular connection, that it feels like is kind of challenging for this person to sort of think of new things, new ways, to kind of show up for you. It is something that is also very excited. It's got like their creative juices flowing. This is somebody who feels very inspired by you. You are their muse, the potential between the two of you, what that could develop into, and even how the situation is unfolding presently. This is something that it feels like is a very freeing experience. You are a welcome distraction from the monotony of everything else that they have going on in their life. They look forward to times where they can like show you little acts of affection, little interactions that they have with you, or even big long conversations, extended periods of time that you can spend with one another. All of that is something that is a glimpse of like the finer things in life, the brighter side of life, something that it feels like has been beckoning them for quite some time in other ways, and that they'd already taken steps to, like build towards, get things together behind the scenes. They were already moving in that direction. And then you came along and it's like, okay, great. So there's love for me along this pathway, but it's not something where I have to like reach that destination of change and then I can like look around and find someone that fits in. But this might even be something where you are at a time in your life where you're expanding beyond your comfort zone. So it's a like attracts like kind of an energy here. And this person hopes that you will be very inspired or very emboldened, not just in terms of how you show up for them and maybe trying new things, as far as like ways to get very creative in your expressions of love, but this is something where this person is hoping that like the experiences with one another, time spent with one another, the way that you can both kind of inspire, uplift, kind of like offer each other different sorts of perspectives, that this is something that you will then kind of take forth into your other sort of endeavors and ventures in life. This person sees that the building of a relationship with you, it is something that takes work, but it's almost kind of like it's pleasure, so it's not really work, but it's something that it feels like is definitely kind of adding to that foundation of like a better future, better days ahead that they have been trying to navigate towards for quite some time. Even if it takes effort or a lot of compromise, or, there are challenges between the two of you, this is somebody that is looking at those things with like an eagerness and enthusiasm. You've activated the problem solver within them. Like, okay, these are the conditions between the two of us. How can we have these sort of like workarounds? What are some loopholes? What are some ways that, we can kind of direct our attention towards other things, or things to be kind of like grateful for in the moment? all of that may be something that signals a very different approach to love and partnerships than what they're used to with previous people, or maybe the challenges between the two of you never existed in other kinds of connections before, so it's different sorts of requirements on their part. But then there's also all of this freedom for kind of like improvisation, just getting really creative, letting their spirit guide them, letting themselves be divinely inspired in terms of efforts towards you, things that they reveal, things that they say, things that they showcase. All of this fits into kind of like a rebranding of themselves and upgrading of their life. And they feel that this connection and you specifically like fit very well in kind of how they are trying to sort of develop the next season or, several chapters of their life moving forward. We also have Badger Spirit, be fearless and bold. Yeah, so this again is somebody that it feels like is wanting to give a lot more self-expression, as far as maybe not having these conversations where they're telling you like a million different things that they love about you, but something where it's like unique action steps that you can kind of like read between the lines of, see the effort that was involved, something that is very unique in terms of how they are showing up, or ways in which they continue to kind of like take off layers of the mask that they have been wearing. You've coaxed them out of hiding in some sort of way, emboldened them to include the idea of love and romance and partnership at this phase in their journey. They almost thought like love, like a higher vibrational love, or something that would align with like the life that they're trying to like build, or what they're trying to like evolve into or move towards, that was something that they would encounter further ahead. And yet here you are. And so this is somebody that doesn't want to like miss out on that moment. This is not somebody that is kind of like, okay, I got all these other things to do, so love can wait. It's like, great, you're here, like attracts like, I'm feeling that vibe between the two of us, so let's get going in this kind of new direction, a transitional period of time that involves this person kind of like redefining themselves, going through a process of transformation. Maybe that aligns very much with what you've been going through, with what you have in mind for yourself. And so this is somebody that is looking forward to that, not just in terms of like how they let you know who they are as a person, but the ways in which you can both inspire one another towards these different transformations, or kind of like who you'll become, very sort of like independent of this connection, but in the midst of it, like transformations you're both going through at the same point in time, and how that can also kind of unveil or even create these different sort of like layers or subtleties or an obviousness between the two of you, that it's not just a relationship which deepens and evolves, but it's something that truly goes through that transformation that is in alignment with like taking bold action steps, taking risks, taking chances, doing things that they have never done before. This is somebody that feels at this particular point in their life that like speaking their truth, expressing themselves, not holding things back, not diluting that truth at all, that is the best recipe for success, not just in this connection, but they're applying that in a lot of other ways. They're either putting their foot down with certain people, or maybe again like speaking some kind of truth, announcing that they're moving in different sorts of directions with different things in their life that may have come across as very like unexpected to other people, or something that was kind of like sooner than people thought it would happen, or something that they've been talking about for a very long time, and then they actually kind of like take steps in a new direction, and other people in their life are like, wow, I never thought that you'd actually follow through on that. I thought you were just talking. I thought that was just something that you were saying, that it was a pipe dream, that it was maybe someday this will take place. But this is someone who's in a very proactive point in their life, and so this love, it feels like, is something, this blossoming connection, whatever exists between the two of you at this point, it is something that fits in very well with that plan, with that process of turning over a new leaf, kind of actively stepping forth into a new chapter for themselves. They're very excited to see kind of like where their life is headed, kind of like what happens next. This isn't somebody that is like fearful of the future. They're very excited about kind of like what's around the next corner, what's, on the other side of kind of like wrapping up cycles, beginning new cycles. And in the midst of that, they feel that like this connection between the two of you is something to hold close, something to, pay attention to, something to, be very kind of like unique or creative in the ways in which they are showing up, expressing themselves, allowing themselves to be transformed by the experience, the exchange between the two of you in a way that it feels like is very empowering. This may be somebody that it feels like in past connections, they were very concerned about sort of like showing up for the other person. Like, is this what you want? Is this what I should do? Is this what I should be? Kind of like a people pleaser energy. And so this is something where it's not that they don't want to please you, but they are allowing themselves to be more authentic with you than they ever have in connection before, or in like early stages of connection. It's kind of like, this is where I'm at. Is this something that you like? Is this something that you resonate with? If not, I'm still headed in this particular direction. And this is not somebody though that is kind of like stubborn, unwilling to change. It's like they're in the midst of a process of transformation, and it seems to very much align maybe with the same attitude, the same mindset, the same priorities that you have. And so this is somebody that feels like so far this connection is something that can sustain that process of change on a personal level for themselves, and also in the midst of like what can happen between the two of you. We also have lizard spirit, dream the world into being. Yeah, so again, this is somebody that is actively trying to like call in a new timeline for themselves, or they're working very hard to like step into a different version of reality than how they have been living up to this point in time. And they had thought originally that like, I'll find somebody, further up ahead, once I kind of wrap something up, once I begin something else, once I kind of reach that next sort of milestone, or make that sort of shift in whatever it is that I'm doing, that's when it'll be the time to kind of like align with love. And it has been a very blessed surprise that they have connected with you, that even in the midst of, kind of like encountering this person during a transitional period of time, that this is something that still, this connection so far, the different like evolutions that it has taken on, periods of like silence, periods where, you've had a lot to say to one another, a lot of experiences, it's still going strong. And so this is somebody that is very confident that you are somebody who factors in to kind of like that next step for themselves. They want to make sure that they don't kind of like leave this behind. They don't take you for granted. It feels like, again, it's like a welcome distraction. It's something that they get a lot of pleasure from, to kind of just turn their attention away from other things that they are working on behind the scenes, or even like out in the open, as far as making that change for themselves. That can be career, that can be, lifestyle, that can be just like different things that they are working on, like big long-term goals, or something that opens up different possibilities for them in the future. But this is also something that they feel like investing this time to kind of just let themselves be very free with you, let themselves be very experimental, very authentic, do things that they don't normally do as far as romance is concerned. That this is something that the vibe between the two of you, the way that you're responding to things, the sense of kind of like confirmation that they get within themselves, how it feels when they kind of like take these steps forward, and like they feel a sense of having accomplished something, or it feels very freeing. All of that is giving this person a lot of reinforcement, like positive reinforcement, to continue to take this approach, to continue to have this mindset as far as this connection is concerned. So this is something where this isn't necessarily something that's like relaxing into this connection, but they're becoming very empowered, very excited about kind of like, okay, so there are no rules, there are no limits, there's not kind of like the usual sort of standards that I need to show up. This isn't kind of like the normal type of situation where, I tried to sort of fit love in, or, the types of people they dated before, where it was very kind of strict, very regimented, just like a very kind of boxed in version of them that was invited, into the circumstance, or that they needed to be in order to remain relevant in the lives of others, or sort of like show up comfortably. There's a loosening of all of that as far as like this connection is concerned. You bring out a part of this person that is not so concerned with how things look, how things appear, but it's like, how does it feel? And it feels really good for them. It aligns very much with the excitement that they already sort of equate with whatever that kind of like next chapter, that next phase of their reality is, what they have kind of like taken steps towards with you so far and are planning to continue to do moving forward. All of that fits along that same kind of polarity or vibration, where it feels really good. It feels very freeing. It feels like something that definitely aligns with kind of like fresh start energy, new beginnings, next level, kind of an evolved love, but not just something where they kind of reach up and are, accessing that kind of like higher experience, but it's something where the two of you are growing and evolving alongside one another. They are trying things that they've never tried before in romance. You're experiencing that, you're receiving that. Maybe you're showing up in a different way that is not how you usually have shown up as far as romance is concerned, because you never had someone putting in this kind of effort, or you were a different version of yourself. Whatever the details, specifics, backstory of all of that is, This is somebody that feels like this works. This is something that works in a very dynamic way. It's something that, brings a lot of excitement to them. They feel the thrill of the chase as far as like finding new and unique ways to kind of show up in this connection, show out in this connection. And at the same point in time, there's a lot of reassurance that you are somebody who is not just relevant in the here and now. It's not just, somebody to kind of spend time with or, to kind of occupy a space during this transitional period, but there's a sense of like you're starting to kind of build with one another at this point as they are anchoring themselves into that higher timeline. There is a certainty within this person that like you belong there alongside them in that kind of higher timeline, in that next chapter of their life, within that kind of next experience that they are working on, maybe things you're aware of, things that you're not. This person sees you as the individual that they want by their side as they kind of like make that sort of dream, that happily ever after for themselves in different sorts of ways as they make that a reality. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.